The Rainmaker by John Grisham. Chapter 1. My decision to become a lawyer was irrevocably sealed when I realized my father hated the legal profession. I was a young teenager, clumsy, embarrassed by my awkwardness, frustrated with life, horrified of puberty, about to be shipped off to a military school by my father for insubordination. He was an ex-Marine who believed boys should live by the crack of the whip. I'd developed a quick tongue and an aversion to discipline, and his solution was simply to send me away. It was years before I forgave him. He was also an industrial engineer who worked 70 hours a week for a company that made, among many other items, ladders. Because by their very nature ladders are dangerous devices, his company became a frequent target of lawsuits. And because he handled design, my father was the favorite choice to speak for the company in depositions and trials. I can't say that I blame him for hating lawyers, but I grew to admire them because they made his life so miserable. He'd spent 8 hours haggling with them, then hit the martinis as soon as he walked in the door. No hellos, no hugs, no dinner. Just an hour or so of continuous bitching while he slugged down 4 martinis, then passed out in his battered recliner. One trial lasted 3 weeks, and when it ended with a large verdict against the company, my mother called a doctor and they hid him in a hospital for a month. The company later went broke, and of course all blame was directed at the lawyers. Not once did I hear any talk that maybe a trace of mismanagement could in any way have contributed to the bankruptcy. Liquor became his life, and he became depressed. He went years without a steady job, which really ticked me off because I was forced to wait tables and deliver pizza so I could claw my way through college. I think I spoke to him twice during the 4 years of my undergraduate studies. The day after I learned I'd been accepted to law school, I proudly returned home with this great news. Mother told me later he stayed in bed for a week. 2 weeks after my triumphant visit, he was changing a light bulb in the utility room when, I swear this is true, a ladder collapsed and he fell on his head. He lasted a year in a coma in a nursing home before someone mercifully pulled the plug. Several days after the funeral, I suggested the possibility of a lawsuit, but Mother was just not up to it. Also, I've always suspected he was partially inebriated when he fell, and he was earning nothing, so under our tort system, his life had little economic value. My mother received a grand total of $50,000 in life insurance and remarried badly. He's a simple sort, my stepfather, a retired postal clerk from Toledo, and they spend most of their time square dancing and traveling in a Winnebago. I keep my distance. Mother didn't offer me a dime of the money, said it was all she had to face the future with, and since I'd proven rather adept at living on nothing, she felt I didn't need any of it. I had a bright future earning money. She did not, she reasoned. I'm certain Hank, the new husband, was filling her ear full of financial advice. Our paths will cross again one day, mine and Hank's. I will finish law school in May, a month from now. Then I'll sit for the bar exam in July. I will not graduate with honors, though I'm somewhere in the top half of my class. The only smart thing I've done in 3 years of law school was to schedule the required and difficult courses early so I could goof off in this, my last semester. My classes this spring are a joke: sports law, art law, selected readings from the Napoleonic Code, and my favorite, legal problems of the elderly. It is this last selection that has me sitting here in a rickety chair behind a flimsy folding table in a hot, damp metal building filled with an odd assortment of seniors, as they like to be called. A hand-painted sign above the only visible door majestically labels the place as the Cypress Gardens Senior Citizens Building, but other than its name, the place has not the slightest hint of flowers or greenery. The walls are drab and bare, except for an ancient, fading photograph of Ronald Reagan in one corner between 2 sad little flags, one the Stars and Stripes, the other the state flag of Tennessee. The building is small, somber, and cheerless, obviously built at the last minute with a few spare dollars of unexpected federal money. I doodle on a legal pad, afraid to look at the crowd inching forward in their folding chairs. There must be 50 of them out there, an equal mixture of blacks and whites, average age of at least 75, some blind, a dozen or so in wheelchairs, many wearing hearing aids. We were told they meet here each day at noon for a hot meal, a few songs, an occasional visit by a desperate political candidate. After a couple of hours of socializing, they will leave for home and count the hours until they can return here. Our professor said this was the highlight of their day. We made the painful mistake of arriving in time for lunch. They sat the four of us in one corner along with our leader, Professor Smoot, and examined us closely as we picked at neoprene chicken and icy peas. My Jell-O was yellow, and this was noticed by a bearded old goat with the name Bosco scrawled on his "Hello, my name is" tag stuck above his dirty shirt pocket. Bosco mumbled something about yellow Jell-O, and I quickly offered it to him along with my chicken. But Miss Bertie Birdsong corralled him and pushed him roughly back into his seat. Miss Birdsong is about 80, but very spry for her age, and she acts as mother, dictator, and bouncer of this organization. She works the crowd like a veteran ward boss, hugging and patting, schmoozing with other little blue-haired ladies, laughing in a shrill voice, and all the while keeping a wary eye on Bosco, who undoubtedly is the bad boy of the bunch. She lectured him for admiring my Jell-O, but seconds later placed a full bowl of the yellow putty before his glowing eyes. He ate it with his stubby fingers. An hour passed. Lunch proceeded as if these starving souls were feasting on 7 courses with no hope of another meal. Their wobbly forks and spoons moved back and forth, up and down, in and out, as if laden with precious metals. Smoot is standing against the wall behind us. Miss Bertie is doing the announcements, hospital reports, and obituaries. She's yelling into a microphone with a sound system that's working remarkably well. 4 large speakers hang in the corners of the room, and her piercing voice booms around and crashes in from all directions. Hearing aids are slapped and taken out. For the moment, no one is asleep. Today there are 3 obituaries, and when Miss Bertie finally finishes, I see a few tears in the audience. God, please don't let this happen to me. Please give me 50 more years of work and fun than an instant death while I'm sleeping. To our left, against the wall, the pianist comes to life and smacks sheets of music on the wooden grill in front of her. Miss Bertie fancies herself as some kind of political analyst, and just as she starts railing against a proposed increase in the sales tax, the pianist attacks the keys. America the Beautiful, I think. With pure relish, she storms through a clanging rendition of the opening refrain, and the geezers grab their hymnals and wait for the first verse. Miss Bertie does not miss a beat. Now she's the choir director. She raises her hands, then claps them to get attention, then starts flopping them all over the place with the opening note of verse 1. Those who are able slowly get to their feet. The howling fades dramatically with the second verse. The words are not as familiar, and most of these poor souls can't see past their noses, so the hymnals are useless. Bosco's mouth is suddenly closed, but he's humming loudly at the ceiling. The piano stops abruptly as the sheets fall from the grill and scatter onto the floor. End of song. They stare at the pianist, who, bless her heart, is snatching at the air and fumbling around her feet where the music has gathered. "Thank you," Miss Bertie yells into the microphone as they suddenly fall back into their seats. "Thank you. Music is a wonderful thing. Let's give thanks to God for beautiful music." "Amen," Bosco roars. "Amen," another relic repeats with a nod from the back row. "Thank you," Miss Bertie says. She turns and smiles at Booker and me. We both lean forward on our elbows and once again look at the crowd. "Now," she says dramatically, "for the program today we are so pleased to have Professor Smoot here again with some of his very bright and handsome students." She flops her baggy hands at us and smiles with her gray and yellow teeth at Smoot, who has quietly made his way to her side. "Aren't they handsome?" she asks, waving at us. "As you know," Miss Bertie proceeds into the microphone, "Professor Smoot teaches law at Memphis State. That's where my youngest son studied, you know, but didn't graduate. And every year Professor Smoot visits us here with some of his students who listen to your legal problems and give advice that's always good and always free, I might add." She turns and lays another sappy smile upon Smoot.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?